Lightfall has been out for about 3 days now, and boy, it has been a weird journey. I've been playing into the endgame content, and I think it's time we have a chat about what this game is and where it's going. Before we go any further, please be aware, this is a full spoiler video, and if you don't want to know anything about the game or Lightfall or anything that happens, click out of this video right now. Alright, to get into this, let's start with a really quick recap of the story of Lightfall. The Witness is here and assaulting Earth. The Vanguard is defending but losing badly. The Traveler and the Witness commune. The Witness then orders Kallus to take the Veil on Naonuma. Osiris and the Guardian head to Naonuma and fight Kallus's forces. During that, we meet the Cloudstrider defenders there, Rohan and Nimbus. The Guardian starts to briefly commune with a new darkness energy named Strand, but can't handle it and keeps getting exhausted from it. Kallus creates the radial mast, which can connect to the Veil and the Traveler. The Guardian attempts to destroy the radial mast, but can't because they can't control Strand and is left depleted of their abilities and all exhausted. The Guardian and the Cloudstriders reactivate the Cloud Arc, which is Naonuma's computer network, in an attempt to protect the Veil. Kallus moves the radial mast to the entrance of the vault where the Veil is located. Again, the Guardian tries to control Strand but can't, is left exhausted. Rohan, the Cloudstrider, has to sacrifice himself to destroy the device. The Guardian and Nimbus reactivate the Cloud Arc, which is Naonuma's computer network, in an attempt to protect the Veil. Then the Guardian has an 80s training montage with Osiris and masters Strand. There's a big assault fight, and the Guardian reaches the Veil, but so does Kallus. We then have a huge boss fight with Kallus and manage to defeat him. The Witness then possesses the Guardian's ghost, creating an uplink between the Veil and the Traveler. To stop this, we very nearly kill our own ghost, but we can't seem to do it. Nimbus jumps in and saves the ghost, but not before the Witness connects the Traveler and the Veil, which creates a portal inside the Traveler, which the Witness goes through. We head back to the tower, everyone's sad, and we're tasked with continuing to work with the Cloudstriders and see what more we can learn about the Veil. And that's the Lightfall campaign. I'll be perfectly honest, this story was pretty weak and gives me even more reason to believe that the campaign was added in between Witch Queen and Final Shape at the last minute. So you have this fantastic beginning and this fantastic end, but the entire middle of the campaign was a total snooze fest and a waste of time. You're off on this unfamiliar planet, you're dealing with characters not integral to the main plot of the story, which is slowed down even further by not being able to properly use Strand, and it feels like a filler episode. Nothing that happens has any major consequence to the story during that entire middle section of the game. If we look at the starting cutscene where we have the Witness attack, you see the helm defenses go down and it shuts the blast doors and the lights all go red, and then the entire story plays out before, in the last cutscene, we see those defenses going back up and Zavala and Mara and the team can see outside again. So, are you meant to be telling me that they just stood there in silence for, like an entire week of gameplay? Or are you trying to tell me we were on Naonuma for 45 minutes and that entire story just happened that quickly? To me, it's just so likely that they had the cutscene, which then just got split straight down the middle, and they shoved Lightfall into the middle of it. After we discovered Stasis back in Beyond Light, there was a huge conversation in the game about how easy it was for the Guardian to access and use it. And for me, what I took away from that conversation is that the light and the dark aren't polar opposites. It's not good and evil. It's more like two sides of the same coin. The darkness is in us, so is the light. And that's how it was so easy for our Guardian to still access it, because we always had it within us. It's really more about what you do with it. And through the events of Beyond Light, you prove to Zavala, who was super anti you using it, that it can be used for good. During this campaign, the Guardian can't get their shit together with Strand, and they keep getting exhausted. Every single time we do this, we suffer a major setback because we can't finish the fight when we get exhausted. All this does is delay the story and undercut what happened with Beyond Light. And it just feels like they're doing it to pad out the story, but to do it, they are detracting from their own major plot story. So let's go back at the quick recap I gave, and now let's just keep the stuff from that story that actually matters. The Witness has arrived and the Vanguard is losing. The Traveller and the Witness commune. Boss fight with Kallus leads to his death. Witness connects the Traveller and the Veil, creating a portal which the Witness enters through. We return to the tower and everyone's sad. Everything that actually matters outside of the Kallus boss fight is covered in that split in half opening and finishing cutscene. Naonuma doesn't forward the story. The Cloud Striders were mostly forgettable and only added busy work. Not to mention, I don't think anyone was really phased when Rohan died because we only knew him for about 45 seconds. And Strand doesn't even compete against Solar Arc or Void 3.0, at least for now, because you know Bungie is going to pump that in following seasons. The point I'm trying to make is that it becomes really clear that Lightfall was a filler episode and a huge waste of our time, and an effort to keep us playing and get us hyped for the final shape, but it doesn't do anything. We don't do anything. We could have just had that cutscene and then gone straight into the final shape, and it would have been fine. In fact, if we did that, we'd probably still have Kallus in the battle as well, which would have made it even more dire for us. I'm not sure where they're going to go with Kallus, so I don't want to slam that too much. It may actually be really good that he's now dead, but it doesn't feel like we earned that kill. After all these years of in the menagerie on the Leviathan, fighting his robots, fighting his astral form in Season of the Haunted, I just don't think it was worth it to put him as the big bad guy of Lightfall, and I think he could have been a lot bigger of a threat to us. But it's not all bad. I know that I said that this campaign felt like a filler episode, but one thing that I actually do really enjoy is theory crafting and trying to figure out what is going to happen, what's coming up next. One of the biggest things for me is looking at the beam of light that the Traveller sends out to the Witness, blows open the Pyramid ship, and the Witness travels through that beam of light. Honestly, for me, I'm looking at that and I think that absolutely looks like an invitation. It wasn't an attack. It was an invitation from the Traveller, and I genuinely believe those two know so much more about what's going on than we ever will, and I need an answer to that as soon as possible. Beyond that, we have some updates to the game. We have a total overhaul with this Guardian ranks thing, which is quite cool. It gives me something else to grind for. I'm a little nervous that this is going to become something that resets every season and just adds another thing for us to be grinding really, really slowly. I'm also a little bit nervous about the Guardian commendation system. You can give out 2 commendations at the end of every single match that you do, and you get access to different types of commendations dependent on the type of activity that you do. For example, in basic Vanguard missions, you can give out Joybringer or Thoughtful. And then if you do something like Gambit, you could give out, I think it's Joybringer or Level-Headed, which is all really nice. However, half the players aren't giving them out, which is also fine and totally up to them, but also half the other players just give them out no matter what, which means you're going to end up with this ranking system that just totally overflows with BS commendations that mean nothing. You can have all the commendations in the world but still be a terrible person to play with because people just give them out either way. I already have only played a couple of ranks into Vanguard, and I am full of Joybringer and Thoughtful, I'll tell you that. It just doesn't feel like it's making the impactful change that it should be. But the other problem with this system is that they've set aside one of the Guardian ranks as you requiring 750 score. Over 3 days, I've got mine up to a little over 100, but that's a massive effort, and it requires the total RNG of the community voting you to get you up to 750. It now feels like an additional chore on top of that, and I feel personally guilty if I don't commend someone. I feel like I should. You've gated it behind progression, but it's meant to be a player-based thing where you can commend people who are actually good. So now I feel forced every time we play to put my absolute all into it. I noticed it in Gambit the most. I played so much sweatier and so much harder, and let's be honest, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have a bad day, or you're using a test build and you don't perform, and now I'm going to suffer and I'm not going to get my commendation scores from other players because I didn't perform above 100%. I guess it's a really cool idea, and if it's something that doesn't have any challenges behind it or anything like that, then it wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. You know, if you get your commendation, then you earned it and you deserve it, and if you don't get a commendation, that's okay too. It may be as well that because this is the first season with the commendations, they're trying to crank it through the Guardian ranks, but I'm hoping that it doesn't apply every single season or anything like that where there's a challenge behind it. We have some updates to the Vanguard strike ops, which is really cool. I actually really like the change where they've added the threat and surge. So you have the surge, which gives you a 25% to outgoing damage, and so it might be arc surge today. And at the same time, you're going to have something, I don't know, hypothetically, you'll have the solar threat, which means any solar damage incoming to you will be increased by 25%. I like it because it means you need to prepare to defend against a certain subclass, but you also want to prepare to dish out another subclass. So you're thinking in two different directions there, which is really good. Some of the maps have been updated. I have played the Lake of Shadows update, and all they've really done is added in a public event from Witch Queen, which is now part of the strike. It extends the entire strike out and wastes even more time. I'm not sure it was really what Bungie was going for. I commend them for looking to upgrade and change strikes to make it a little bit more interesting, but just extending out the length of a strike and adding in patrol-based activities into the strike to extend it out is not really the right way to do it. One of the biggest changes that everybody is starting to talk about is the mod system and the new armor system as well. Now, I must say that at this point, I've only glanced into it really. I haven't started making builds or anything like that, as I'm just building up my strand and trying to get up to the pinnacle level, etc. However, at a glance at this point, it does look like this is a regression and a simplification and makes build crafting worse across the board. I think they've taken a lot of the ingenuity and build crafting kind of creativity out of it, and now you just have this set that are less fun to use. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm excited to learn more about it as we get further into the game and find out more. A final thought that I will really leave you with that is playing on my mind is, as we know, in the story of Destiny, a year in our time is a year in the story of Destiny as well. So the entire events of Season of Risen, Season of Haunted, Season of Plunder, and Season of Seraph, plus the Witch Queen, played across an entire year. And that's why we can have the seasonal events like the Christmas-based event or the Halloween-based event as well. The characters on the tower are specifically saying the Traveler is gone. Now, the Traveler, in my mind, is still absolutely there. You can see it. So the question is, do they mean the Traveler is dead? Or we are disconnected from the Traveler? I'm not sure. However, the thing that I'm struggling to understand is, are we not going to do anything about this until Lightfall? Are you telling me that the Witness has gone through this portal and we're now going to wait an entire year before we do anything about that, or we're going to wait an entire year and wait for the witness to come back to slap us in the face. I'm not sure, but I'm struggling to understand how the characters of Destiny can sit there and be like, heck yeah, Guardian Games is coming up. We just suffered one of the biggest defeats of our entire life, if not the biggest defeat of our entire life. And then it's like, get out there and win it for the Warlocks in the game, son. I just can't see it. And I really hope some of this gets addressed in the next seasons and we get moving on this quickly, because with a story like this where it ramps up as you get closer and closer, it's hard to then make us wait an entire year to progress that story and keep us engaged with it. If the witness comes back and slaps us hard, I'm going to sit there and say, well, it's our own fault because we let him do stuff in a portal for a year. Why didn't we follow? I feel that I should also reiterate that at the end of the day, I adore this game. I really, really do. And I'm not attacking it because I want to see it fail or anything like that. There are aspects to this campaign, the Lightfall campaign, that absolutely nailed it. Once again, Legendary campaign just crushed it for me. The challenge is really, really there, exactly what it needs to be. There is so much more to it that's really good, but we do need to talk about the things that aren't working so Bungie can hear and continue to update and make this great game be a really great game. Nice little update that came through as I've been editing this video. Bungie have come and listened to the response from the community, and they've actually just unlocked all of the Strand aspects, which in turn also gives us access to the new exotic weapon, the Final Warning as well, which I think is actually a really good call to make, because if you're anything like me, and I even mentioned it earlier in this video, that I haven't even bothered to look at build crafting while I'm trying to get up there, and one of the things is Strand looked really lackluster because I wasn't looking at how intense it could be. So getting access to all of the aspects early gives us an opportunity to actually properly dig into this now that I think many of us would be finishing the campaign. It gives us something more to dive in for. Good call, Bungie. I think that's really good that they're listening to their community, and if you're anything like me, I'm jumping in now to go unlock the rest of the Strand aspects. Anyway, that's me for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new here, please subscribe and let me know your hot takes about the Lightfall release in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Take care. See you in the next one.